Hey, girl.
Hey.
Hi, this is so fun. We're back in the studio again and looking at our ceremony book because we really didn't come in prepared today.
We were kind of like, what do you want to talk about? I don't know. Let's just get together and see what happens. You know, sometimes that's like the most fun conversations happen like that. So
Just be as organic as possible.
Yeah.
And that's really how the podcast was founded, right? It was just on organic conversation. So let's just do
at
that.
a girls trip.
That's right. At a girls trip. All right. So I'm going to kind of just thumb through this book. Hold on. I feel like I need to get a little deeper into this. I'm just like whoosh, jumping in, but I'm going to breathe for a moment and then I'm going to go for it. All right. Here it is. Holy are the hands that have held you in your hardest hours, especially when those hands have been only your own.
Whoa. Whoa. I wasn't expecting it to say that.
No, I wasn't either.
Oh, that aligns with this conversation that I just had with my sister, but I'll let you, whoa.
Yeah, we got to digest that. Okay. Holy are the hands that have held you in your hardest hours, especially when those hands have only been your own.
I could cry.
It's kind of deep.
I could cry.
I know, it's kind of deep. I don't know. I feel like it's almost been tradition too to read the other page.
Okay.
I'm just curious.
It's funny how we are just drawn to look at the right side all the
Yeah,
time.
exactly. And I want to I want to be balanced.
Yeah.
Okay. So the other side says to see your life with new eyes. That is the breakthrough and that is the path. Cool. So
We've
that
never gotten these
one,
before.
we haven't. These are new.
Yeah.
And I think right now, just for, I can relate to both of them. There's a lot I can probably say about both of them, but this one, to see your life with new eyes, that is the breakthrough and that is the path. That one is really speaking to me right now. I think it might be because, you know, I know we've talked about transitions and just different things happening in our lives. And right now, I'm really trying to focus on having different perspectives on things. So I'll give you a simple example. Cooking. You know, probably have talked about this 1,000 times. I don't love it. However, the new perspective, the new eyes that I'm seeing, the path through is definitely, you know, I always want to bring health and wellness to my family, but it's a little bit more than that now. It's more.
Well, let's keep that.
Yeah.
Here, just put it like flat.
Okay, I'll turn it over. It's more of changing my mindset. And that I think has been a big shift for me in 2025 is I'm usually pretty good about seeing things in different lights. However, you know, I am just like most people run on habit and kind of, you know, I'm processing information that I'm receiving based on my own conditioning and based on what I believe to be true and my own beliefs. And I've really focused on taking a step back with all of that and going, you know what? Hold on though. What is that other person thinking? And I need to listen to that a little more. And so, yeah, this one is really bringing up, like, I have all these different thoughts happening.
Yeah.
I'm downloading a lot right now, but
We're going to fix the cooking because I'm going to come over. We're going to drink our cannabis drinks and we're going to put music on and you're going to like love cooking.
Can't wait.
Yeah, for me, it was the other side that you first read. I'll just say it again real quick. Holy are the hands that have held you in your hardest hours, especially when those hands have been your own. Oh my God. To me, this is what's so crazy about this book is it can be so poignant in the moment that I'm living. And I literally was just on the phone last night with my sister. She was venting to me about our mom.
That's what siblings do.
I mean, that's a safe space, right? We both love our mom and nobody's perfect and we're all doing this for the first time. So we have compassion for her and all of that. But then also something interesting that came up out of it was just this conversation that my sister and I had never had. We're 8 years apart. And, you know, we went through a horrible time with our father getting addicted to drugs. This is actually her biological father. I guess you could say stepdad, but he was in my life since I was 2. So he's my dad. But being 8 years older, I had a completely different experience. So that's interesting, the whole perspective thing that you bring up. Or I guess the book.
Well, I know. I was going to say, I almost feel like that's sometimes why you got to read the other page too. It's like
right.
they go together. Yeah, they're partners.
So we just had different experiences, even though we both were in the same family. And, when my mom was so in love with this man, and when he just like completely abandoned us and completely checked out, that was the love of her life. And she was heartbroken and devastated and like could not get herself back up off the floor. She just couldn't. She did all the things she needed to do. Like she went and got a job at like a mini mart, working nights. Like she did what she needed to do to keep food on the table and the lights on. But, and she was loving, very loving. And I think that was our saving grace for both me and my sister. But she just wasn't able to be there for us, like with the support that kids need. And, it's like we were both just thinking about when we were little, what would we tell ourselves? Mm-hmm. What would we forgive ourselves for? There's this trend that's going around that's like, I had coffee with my younger self, and this is what we talked about, and this is what I told her. And I think that's a really cool trend because it's like finding your inner child and forgiving them for all the things that you didn't know and you did the best you could with what you had. Just as my mom was doing the best she could with what she had at that time, which was very little. Like she was just trying to survive. And we know we're going to do it differently. And I have done it differently with my kids. Like I've been there every step of the way with college and helping them with classes and just all that stuff that, kids need so much even after they turn 18. Like I'm probably, yeah. Yes. So we're able to both share like the regrets that we had when we were little, the things that we didn't accomplish. We were both talking about like wishing we would have gone to college. I did. I tried. It ended up burning me out because I was working 2 jobs and going to school and I was exhausted. And, my sister, she just really raised herself. She was so little when this all happened, 7 years old. Yeah. So, she was kind of on her own, and I felt abandoned and like I was on my own at 15, but like she was a little kid.
Little girl.
Yeah.
So what would you tell your younger self if you were having coffee?
Oh my gosh, I actually made a little list and we shared it, and we both really had a lot of the same feelings about it. So I'm just trying to remember what they all were. One of the things was I would forgive myself for for not finishing school because I was just trying to survive and, paying my own way since I was 15, pretty much, like getting through it. For not having more compassion for myself. I was really hard on myself as a kid growing up, like just mad at the situation, and I not forgiving myself for just those things that I didn't accomplish, I think was the main thing. And I realized I didn't have the support that everybody else did.
Sure.
That was able to do some of those things. And some people still persevere. And you know what? I look at my life and I did persevere. I did it in a different way. And I did learn a lot from all my experiences. You couldn't pay me to go back to 15, 16, 17 for anything. It was some of the hardest years of my life. And even like my early 20s were really challenging too. But they made me stronger. So my sister and I both were so grateful that it gave us grit and it gave us a work ethic and an inner strength that we would not have had if we didn't go through those things.
You have to develop so much when you're moving through different kinds of adversity in your life, right? And allows parts of us to get tapped into that normally we may not have if we're just kind of skating through. So I know people always say it's like, you don't want to erase the past, but at the same time, how can you look back and really take all the goodness from it and all those learning experiences and just bring it to a positive space?
Yeah. Yeah. I wouldn't change it. I don't want to go back, but I wouldn't change it.
Yeah. It shapes who we are,
Yeah.
you know, and I do think that's a big thing that you said though, about like, you know, having these experiences that are not always what we see as positive because they're hurtful and they cut deep, you know, but a lot of times we grow so much from that. And it sounds all cliche, but there's truth in that, you know, like there's a reality. And I love that you and your sister have these moments where you can connect and share.
Yeah. Well, we don't normally. So that's what was even more amazing about reading that at this moment, because it was like, whoa, she's just not someone that's super open like that. And she doesn't like to go really deep into things in that way. And it was a very cathartic experience. And we shared, even though it was different for both of us, like I feel like she really had a harder time. I mean, she was just so little, but we both had a lot of that same regret and like that what we needed to forgive ourselves for, like not being young and wild and free, not being able to take risks, things like that, that happens to you when you are in a situation without a safety net.
Right.
Like we couldn't be daring and bold about our choices because no one was going to pick us up if we fell. And so it was like, that was another thing I had to
your
forgive.
own hands.
Yes. And that was another thing I had to forgive myself for, because I was kind of hard on myself about that. Like, why didn't you take more chances? You played it so safe when you were younger. I fucking had to. I had to. I didn't have a choice. And another thing on the list, it's all kind of coming to me now. It's like, what did I write? Is thank you for keeping us safe, meaning me and my inner child safe, because I was cautious and I did have to make decisions at a young age in order to keep me
You
safe.
were a protector,
Yeah.
ultimately, of your own self
Right.
and of your sister.
Yes.
Yeah.
So the choices that were made were always in the background. Wasn't, what do I want in this moment? There wasn't, oh, I just feel like staying up all night and partying, or, like they're just, or hanging out with this crowd, or there was just those kind of decisions and, experiment with this drug. It was like, oh, hell no. I've seen where that goes.
Yeah, you had true insight, firsthand. Not,
Yeah.
You got to watch, unfortunately, how that plays out.
Oh, yeah. And I've talked about this before, but that was a beautiful blessing in disguise. Like, it was a hard lesson / blessing, but I shared that with my kids. And so, when we talk about meth, crank, whatever you want to call it, there's all these there's all these different names for it that are like, sound like they're fun and enticing.
Slopes or something, skiing in the slopes. Like, I've been hearing that about Coke. I mean, yeah.
And I put Coke right in the same category as meth. So meth was the thing that took, ripped my family into shreds. And so they know what that does. And the thing is, Coke and meth are not the same thing, but you can do Coke and then you can get addicted. And then guess what? You
need that longer high, right? A cheaper, longer high. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah.
Ooh, that's a lot, my friend.
We thought we were going to have a light, fun, airy episode.
Totally. I was like, hey, let's talk about girls' trips. And then we consulted the book. And this is what happens when you read Ceremony by Brianna Wiest.
Oh my God. Wouldn't it be amazing if she was to come on our show
That'd be
one
cool.
day?
That'd be really cool.
We got to manifest that shit.
For sure. You're invited. So, just let us know when you have time.
Yes.
We're here.
I think we might be your biggest fans.
We're definitely utilizing the book in so many ways.
Yeah.
So,
I really do think, like, when she wrote this, I do think there was like a spiritual aspect to it that was coming through.
oh, I'm sure. I mean, even just the little, I don't know, it's poetry, it's depth of the heart, downloads. I mean, whatever. It'd be fun to talk to her specifically to find out like, what inspired you and where did all this come from?
What was her process?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Like, did she just keep a journal by her bed and like these thoughts would come into her mind?
Or just, talk into her audio notes on her phone. Like, what did you do? So the one thing that was, I don't know, just the first word in the first little paragraph or statement I read, like holy. It's interesting what triggers, things in you. So the minute I read holy, I almost had this resistance to want to read more because it brought me back to just like Catholic days of being in church. And then like old hymns kind of started playing in my head. Like that's how my brain works, right? And then it was like, holy are the hands. And that took me to a place of like Jesus and really digging into like religious stuff.
Hands. Yeah.
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 And my first initial reaction is a little resistance because, what comes with that for me, the attachment I have is sort of like these controls. And so I wasn't really sure where this was going to go.
Yeah,
and it
me either.
was interesting to kind of have to put those thoughts to the side and go, okay, hold on. And then it's like the holy hands that have held you. And I'm like, oh, okay, whose hands, And then you didn't even know until you went down, to the end that it's like your hands. And that does hit deep because when we think about our own selves and what we bring to the world, whether it's the support for ourselves, like what you had to go through, I mean, that was definitely your own hands carrying you, or the hands that we bring to help others around us. So, I mean, I felt like so much was packed into this these just few sentences. I think about, the service work that I do and other people I know do in the communities, and thinking even beyond about you just don't really know what somebody's going through in life and how those small moments of people giving, what that does for them. So I have had a lot of thoughts just sitting here, listening to you and then trying to break down like sentence by sentence of what this means, So to think of your hands as holy, I think I'm going to carry that with me today.
I love that.
Yeah. Just take it into my whole day and think about, and you know what? Okay, hold on. Here's my little light bulb moment.
Ooh, I love that.
I'm having a moment. So when I read the other page and was talking about perspective and mindset shifting and how it relates to cooking and all of that, it's interesting because that's all done by your hands also. So when you really stop and dissect the meaning of all of these things, there's just so much depth there.
Yeah. When you say that, it makes me think like, we're not limited. We have things that we can do. I mean, we even talked about this in the episode last time. It's like, how can you show up in the world? How can you use those helping hands? Whether it's to heal yourself and support yourself, because you can't show up fully for other people unless you've shown up for yourself fully first.
For sure.
And I think that's what a lot of women struggle with.
Yeah.
So I think that's a beautiful part of this process is like, healing yourself, recognizing that your hands have held you up and like honoring that so that you can not live in, I think so many of us live in this place where we're like, we just put ourselves down so much. And we don't think about our circumstances and where we've come from and what we've gone through. I mean, the conversation I had with my sister last night was like, look at where you are. I mean, you did it all by yourself. Wow. You're amazing. Like she's a stay-at-home mom now, but she went and got she's a dental assistant. She got her certification to be a dental assistant. And she's like, whatever. Even in the moment, she was like, I can only go so far with that. And I'm like, no, if something were to happen, you could put food on the table for your kids. You have a career and you did that all by yourself. She figured out a way to pay for it. She ended up buying her first home by herself. Like she's a fucking badass. And even in the conversation with her though, she was like arguing with me about it because I think so often we will lift our sisters up. We will say like, yes, you're amazing. You've accomplished this. And, but we won't turn around and do that for ourselves.
Well, society tells us sometimes if we do that it's egotistical and we're conceited. I mean, how many times have you heard those words floating around? But I think this is different though. This is tapping into your inner power and allowing yourself to feel empowered and knowing that you have the strength and the courage. And like you said, she's a freaking baddie. She's out there doing the things that she has to do, the hustle of it all, and sometimes we don't stop and really recognize like what it takes to get out of bed and show up and get through that hustle. You know, it's not easy for everybody. I mean, just putting that first foot on the floor sometimes maybe you didn't sleep well on a practical level, you know, maybe your mind is so occupied with what's happening in your own family, you know, or with people you love. And so just to go like, I'm ready. I'm going to take this move. So
and thank yourself. Take that beat just to be like, oh, you're doing a good job.
Yeah.
Reminds me of that Alicia Keys song that came to me. I've shared this at a retreat, but I don't think I ever talked about it on the podcast. I was in a low moment. I was being hard on myself about, you know, wanting to help provide, help make money for the family. I mean, this podcast is not bringing in any money, zero. We're actually negative, but one day
we may ask you to subscribe.
So it's like, I'm working hard, but you're not seeing it. You know, you're not seeing the money coming in yet. Not yet. But all of a sudden, this song came blasting on through the bathroom. And I'd never heard it before. And it was Good Job by Alicia Keys. Oh. And it was this part of the song. It was just like, doing a good job, good job.
Oh, yes.
Doing a good job.
You know that one.
Oh my gosh, it just brought tears to my eyes. Well, after I was like, what the fuck is happening? Why is there music coming out of the bathroom?
Who's listening?
Yeah, it came on the Alexa all by itself. Okay. I mean, weird shit like that happens to me. It's fine. It's
not weird.
It still freaks me out when it happens, but I'm like, okay, thank you.
Yes.
Whoever my
message.
Yes, my angels, my ancestors. You know, I don't like to put labels on it. I'm just like, thank you for the loved ones that I can't see.
Yes.
That are here for me.
I'll receive it.
And it like, I took a big fucking deep breath and I was just like, yeah, I am doing a good job. You know, we were just starting this podcast. I was raising 2 kids knee deep in like high school stuff. And
Coming off of COVID.
Coming off of COVID, yeah. And I was like, no, I am doing a good job. So I think we all need that reminder.
Yeah. So tell yourself right now, just look in the mirror if you have a moment, if you're at a stoplight listening to this, or
I mean, I can keep singing for you if you want, but probably not.
I don't know. It might be kind of motivating. I liked it. As soon as you started, I'm like, oh yeah, that took me somewhere. So yeah.
I have the heart and soul of a singer,
Yes,
not really the voice, but
you have a podcast voice, so it's fine. But yes, it's stopping in those moments and hearing it and really receiving it and then giving it to yourself. You know, I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. It's not boastfully moving into the world, you know, and carrying this like thing with you. It's like, hey, I am doing a good job. I am doing what I need to be doing right now. And even if I'm not doing all the things right now, like maybe there's this one thing that I'm doing and like hang on to that, you know?
I think especially the phase that I keep bringing my sister up, but
really I love this. She's definitely going to have to like listen to this episode.
Is she's in the phase of 2 little babies, like 5.
Hard work.
Not even, just little babies. So,
and working.
Well, no, she stopped working. Thank goodness. Like,
lucky for her.
But at the same time, work was a little bit of a reprieve. And I totally get that because I was the same way. Where you kind of just like do your thing and feel like just yourself without these little monkeys climbing on you.
They're cool because there's no separation, right?
Yeah.
Like there's no time.
Yeah. And so right now she's just in the mundaneness of motherhood where you are getting up because the baby's crying and then you're just like zombieing through and like making sure they have food and then they're making a mess and you're cleaning that mess up. And then the other one is, you know, crying because they need something and it just never stops until bedtime. And it's hard. It is. And it's easy to feel like you're not doing anything with your life. Yes. But you are doing the most with your life. Like you're nurturing and raising these 2 little humans that are going to go out into the world and who knows what they will be able to create. Yeah. And that's why I think motherhood is such a it feels so sacrificial. Like, and it's so easy to just get in that rut of the mundane.
Absolutely. Well, so it's interesting because right now I'm in a class that's on human growth and development. And there's so many things I'm reading where I'm like gosh, if only I truly understood this during those phases. I mean, we're learning a lot about different theories, and even though not all of them are like 100% applicable, but to really understand even just the brain of these little kids, and what's happening with them and watching them as they're developing from a developmental perspective, not just like crazy mom perspective, right? Because I mean, it's very easy to be in that place and feel like you can't breathe.
Yeah.
But to really, again, so shifting over, it's making me think of like to see your life with new eyes, that is the breakthrough and that is the path. And that's one of those moments where, like I said, as I'm reading, I'm reflecting back to how I raised my kids and how chaotic it was with 3 little ones. So I'm empathizing with your sister for sure. But I'm also thinking, gosh, wouldn't it be, and I know we can't learn everything all the time, but to really understand through those phases, and it could just be anything you're going through right now, whether it is the stay-at-home mom and you're trying to understand the development of what's happening and giving yourself grace for that and knowing that you are doing a phenomenal job with what you have, whatever that looks like for you. Or if it's something that you're venturing into right now in your life, maybe a change of career or a divorce, whatever it is. I think when we try to get the right information and really expand our minds to opening up to understand fully what's happening and not just being in the chaos of the moment, it does shift our perspective a little bit. Gives us new eyes.
Yeah, I think, just seeing your child as they're developing and learning and everything is new and I love that, like trying to have a perspective even from how they're feeling.
Yes, the wonderment.
The wonderment. And I think that is the beauty of having kids in your life is like you get to kind of be reminded of that. But when you're in it, you're just so
it's hard.
Yeah, you feel buried in a way with it. There's not really a moment to sit and think about things. But I don't know if you could, like, I feel like, I would do it so differently and I would be more present, but I also am not in it now.
Right.
Like, and I can like look back and think about it like I would be.
How lovely would it be to do this? Totally. Well, it's funny because so my brother just had a baby and we're 14 years apart. So that's a big developmental, even in that, right? Those phases of life. But I'm watching his little baby and I am having these thoughts right now. And so it's funny because I feel like this is very real and raw in my life also, and thinking about what they're doing. And I don't know, I'm also seeing things, of course, they only have 1 right now. So there is a difference between 1 and 2 and 3 and beyond, but because I think we do now have access to so much information, and she is so lucky because her mother comes and stays with her during the week. So she actually has that time to go, I'm going to run and go get coffee and don't get me wrong. Like there are other challenges, that she's dealing with. And anytime somebody's sleep deprived, I mean, come on, like all the grace extended to you. Right. And again, whether you're a mom of a baby and that's why, or your job is not allowing you to sleep. I mean, this is a very deep category that we got to think about because people cannot function at their optimal levels,
Oh my gosh, I saw this video of this poor mom with probably an 18-month-old. She was carrying it around, maybe a little younger. She was looking for the baby and she was holding the baby.
Oh, gosh.
That's how sleep deprived she was. The baby probably kept her up all night.
Correct.
I mean, it just shows you like you can't function without sleep.
No.
Yeah.
And so, I'm looking at this little baby and thinking also just about his own development and what's happening. Cause now it's like seeing a newborn and going, what happens in the first month? And then you get to the second month. And I'm like in wonderment and amazement because I'm so removed from that, from my own children. But watching like the new parent and even seeing what they're going through and how they're developing, because they are developing, during that time too. As a mom, we're developing all the time, I
think you said something so important though, that she has her mom, it was her mom, right? Come in because that creates space.
Huge.
Like, I think we all just need to give ourselves a little bit of space if you can. I mean, some people can't. But it's like or maybe you have someone come in and clean your house once a month. Like whatever you can do to give yourself that little bit of reprieve.
Like let those other hands
Those
come
other
in and
hands
help you.
Yes, because
Totally.
without it, you're not sleeping. You're constantly doing something for the babies. There's no space. There's no space to even reflect or be in, like, you're really in the moment. You're almost too in the moment.
Yes.
You're just trying to get through it.
Right. And I remember those moments, like not even recognizing clock time. It was just like, I don't even know what time it is. I just know that like the next thing I'm going to have to do is probably pump and then wash those pumps and then feed the baby and then change the diaper. Like, I don't even know if it's 3 o'clock or midnight right now.
And then dinner on the table.
I just have to get through like, you know, the next activity really. Yeah, it's a lot. So kudos to those mommies out there who are listening to this. I mean, you're not noticed, you know,
Right.
like, yeah. Lots of empathy.
Yeah.
For those times in our lives. But yeah, I love that idea of the holy hands. And I know I'm watching my sister-in-law and I'm just like, wow, you know, my mom also is there helping and she's got family that's coming in and receiving the help. And that, you know, that was one thing I think that was a perspective shift for me as I was watching her. Here's another little light bulb moment. I think when I was in the thick of things, I wanted to hold on to doing all the things and wasn't actually releasing to the help. I mean, sometimes
I can relate to that.
you know, because I'm like, wait, you're not changing the diaper the way that I feel is best for them to have the diaper changed, or you're not feeding her like this. She's going to start screaming because she's got acid reflux. And, you know, like I was in my head with those things.
I'm sure a lot of new moms feel that way. I mean, think about it. This is the most precious thing that you've ever been given in your whole life.
Yes.
So you're going to be a little territorial.
Yes. It's
about
like
how things are happening with your baby.
right.
Yeah.
This precious treasure, you know,
Right.
one
But-
little wrong move. It's, I don't know. But that's again, us in our headspace and needing to trust the process, you know, and I think it's hard sometimes to go there.
Yeah. And I think it's hard for a lot of women just to allow for the help in general with so many things.
Well, I know women who, like you'd mentioned about the house cleaner. And I remember at some point when I did start to open up to that, it was like life changing for sure. But there's women too who are like, I don't want somebody cleaning you know, cleaning my house or in my drawers or I don't know, you know, whatever their perception of what a house cleaner does. Cause you can also choose what you want them to do, whether it's like come in and just do your dishes or just clean your baseboards and the stuff you can't get to. Right. So also understanding that part too, that it's okay to receive the help, open up to the help.
Yeah.
You can customize the help.
Oh, I totally would have taken the help with that. That was what I remember most about being a young mother was constantly cleaning. And I'm not that I like things to stay clean. I like a clean space. It really affects my mood, but I don't want to be doing it all day long.
Hell no.
Oh, and that's what I felt like the early stages were because you were constantly cleaning like spit up rags and all of it. Like it was just nonstop. And you didn't really, always had a baby in your arm. Well, I guess you didn't have to, but I did. I held them a lot and I don't regret that. But, you know, just to like clean up the kitchen was a lot harder. And, I would have loved to have had someone come in and clean my house. Like I think it would have helped me to feel like I could just enjoy the baby.
Yes. Yeah. Be in that moment with them. Oh my gosh.
So I'm definitely getting housekeepers for my kids.
Hell yes. Oh my God. And as you're talking, it's so funny because I'm having visuals of myself by baby number 3. This is a little bit of what it looked like in my house. So kids are running around doing whatever. I literally had one of those handless
double
talking about hands, but a handless double pump. So I'd have the baby on my back, like swaddled up in the back. I got the pumps going on and I'm sweeping the house. And
oh my God.
Multitasking at its finest.
Yeah.
But you know, you kind of just figured things out by then. It's just funny. Like I remember those moments thinking like, please don't let anyone ring my doorbell right now. I can't handle that. That's going to take it way over the edge. But for sure. It was like whatever you have to do to get through that day. You know?
Wow.
Do you?
Oh my God.
I know.
Like, I think I want to go back, but then you remind me with
Not really.
Not really. I do.
Really. Do you remember like all the things you had to pack too before you left the house?
Gosh. Yeah.
That was so overwhelming.
I was like a pack and play and the giant diaper bag and all the things. Yeah.
Like a camel. I mean, we were just like, or whatever, a mule, like everything was packed up for sure. And then everyone, you know, you always had your favorite thing. Like I had my Bob stroller, which I can fit all 3 kids in. So that thing went with me everywhere.
Oh, yeah.
That was like I am not going anywhere without the stroller. I could tie people down.
Yes.
Roam wherever I need to go. Yes. Oh my gosh. So much reflection right now. Wow.
Yeah. But I think it is so good to reflect. And like, I hope everyone at home listening just gives themselves a beat, like takes a moment and thinks back about all you've accomplished, all you've done, whether it be for your career, whether it was surviving something traumatic as a child, like my sister and I did, or like motherhood. Motherhood's traumatic.
Yeah. So give your hands a little special attention today. Like maybe put some lotion on, put them in some warm water and like take a moment to just embrace
and honor
how you've held yourself. Yeah. Honor where you've been. You know, we need to stop and do that for sure. I guess that's really the message we have today.
Yeah. I mean, it's funny because it's like, with that conversation that I had last night and then like this book and it must have that was a message that wanted to come through.
For sure.
And maybe it's a message that all of you are like needing to hear right now. And, you know, we were going to talk about our girls trip, which we are excited about. That took some planning. It's so funny whenever you try to plan a trip with a bunch of girls, like especially a bunch of girls, like we're all very like opinionated and strong-willed and stuff and like and busy. And so like just narrowing down a freaking date and a location took forever.
That was the first challenge, right? I don't know, maybe even a couple months in the making, like shifting dates and shifting locations and shifting all the things.
And then of course, like not everybody is able to come. There's a couple that there had conflicting dates later on, like we didn't know about in the beginning.
That's always sad. It always makes me feel sad when there's a group and we're trying to do it together and then it feels like everybody's, you know, able to align and then all of a sudden people start dropping off for, you know, no reasons that are like no blame reasons. It's just like life is, you know, there's other things showing up.
Especially with women. Like it is this way. I mean, maybe not for everybody, but we are the primary caregivers for the kids. I think that makes it difficult for a lot of the time, like to try to organize and pick a date and get something on the calendar.
And there's things we don't want to miss, right? Like that we find out that are happening with their kids and it's like, you know, I really want to be there for that thing. So I'm sorry, ladies, can we do it another time?
Yeah. And we are at that tail end of things. Like, you know, once high school ends, it's going to look different. Like you're not going to be as involved with every extracurricular activity that your kid's involved in when they're in college. It's just going to be different. So I get it. Like everybody needs to like absorb as much as they can at this time right now.
Totally.
But I think it's so interesting. We picked Murphy's. That's where we're going. By the time this airs, we'll probably already have been there and back.
Yeah. So we'll come back to talk about it.
Yeah. But I thought it just dawned on me today that Murphy's, like, I think it was 7 or 8 years ago, that's where I went with all of another group of girlfriends that I had. And I was realizing that we were all going through major things and we were still like, we were really in the thick of motherhood at that time. And I mean, some of the challenges were heavy duty. And we hadn't talked about a lot of these things because you just try to keep things light and fun. But you know, one morning over coffee, like we really got into it and everybody was sharing and it made me for the first time realize like this is something that is needed. We need to have a space where women can talk about these struggles and not feel alone. And so it was sort of like that's where the idea of this podcast was born. And then again on another girls trip, it's where it came to fruition. So I think that's so interesting that we're going back
girls
to
trips
Murphy.
And girls trips are inspiring and I think that it gets us out of our day-to-day duties, you know, and we can just let our hair down. Speaking of, it was so funny. I remember one of the girls trips we were on together and you and I had actually shared a room, which we're good bedmates.
Yeah.
We do well. And so all of a sudden I'm like, oh, Greta, what are you doing? And you were taking out some of your hair extensions.
My
and then
clip-in ones at that
little
time because it was
clip-ins.
like around COVID time. So
Yeah,
I think
yeah,
that's
yeah.
all I could do.
Totally. And then I go out into like the family room area and there's a couple other girls whose hair looks different. And I'm all, oh, hey, what'd you do? Oh yeah, I just took out my extensions. I'm like, oh my God, I had no idea that even like this group of friends, so many people had these clip-on extensions, which actually was the first inspiration for me to even jump into it and try it out. Now I love them and it's been years later.
Yeah.
But it's on these trips that things happen or girls let down their hair or take them out.
Or take it out.
Or take it out. And we get to connect and bond in a totally different way. It's so special.
It does feel therapeutic. I mean, yeah, there's going to be lots of fun and laughs and definitely dancing. We do that really
For
well. Janine.
Yes.
Janine will lead us in the dancing. But it's like also you get these moments of like, just being able to be open and honest about what you're going through and share and confide. And I think that's what's so beautiful about girlfriend relationships. If you find the right ones, you know, there's definitely been periods of time where I'm like, ooh, doesn't feel safe to share with
This
this.
may not be that group.
Yeah. But get yourself a good solid group. And then to be able to just talk and share. And I mean, I think what came out of it that first time in Murphy's was like, oh my God, like I am not the only one going through something heavy. My really good friend that we talk all the time is going through this massive thing. And I had no idea. And it's just so much harder when you are keeping something inside and you think you have to do it all by yourself and you have to figure it out. And how many of us like just spin things around in our heads like that and like drive ourselves crazy thinking we need to have all the answers. And we need community.
Yeah, we do. Well, you know, it's funny as we're talking about the girls' trip. I'm starting to have this is a very reflective episode. But I was thinking of back in the days when I was in like Girl Scouts, you know, brownies, even Bluebirds before that. And these are groups where girls come together, and you know, back in those days, it's like you're crafting together and you're doing just I don't know different things together, right? You're having lunches, you're putting things together for the community, whatever. But there's something that starts even so young like that, where girls are coming together and connecting that way. And then as I got a little older, going through like youth groups through the church. And I remember us like, you know, going to stay at different places, and it was all very organized. We'd come together, have our lunches, our breakfast, lunch, dinner together, singing songs. And then there was free time, and girls stayed with girls, you know, and it was just this time of being so connected. And that's what it reminds me of. It's like coming back to
braid each
that.
other's hair
Yes.
and stuff.
Play
Yeah.
jump rope outside, you know, dance. Like, I don't know. We were in nature. And that's the other piece, I think, is when we go on these girls' trips a lot too, we're in these surroundings where we're not always, I mean, sometimes they can be at a hotel, and like if you're doing a Vegas trip or whatever, you're there for that specifically, right? But I don't know. My favorite girls' trips are the ones where we're staying like at a cabin, or in this case, we're doing an Airbnb. So we do get to roll out in pajamas in one house, make coffee together, take our time. And it's in those moments where we're comfortable that I think the sharing.
I'm hoping there's a big deck. I haven't even.
I know. I don't remember if there was or not, because
I'm
I
gonna need to
did
find a way to be outside.
Yeah.
because the weather's going to be beautiful.
There's supposed to be great hiking around there too. Somebody was telling me about if we wanted to venture out and do that.
You love hiking.
Yeah.
Rue has a feeling about that. Rue just was very vocal.
We have, you know, our podcast. Yeah. Podcast dog Rue is hanging out with us right now. Yeah. So anyway, we'll report back because I do think it'd be kind of fun just to talk about some of the elements that make a girls' trip really fun.
Yes. I mean, we won't disclose. It's definitely
No.
secret keeping. Yeah.
And that's part of the sisterhood, you know, like you take the little pinky swears and what happens in the cabin stays in the cabin kind of thing. But just in terms of things that we did, because I do think structuring a girls trip, you know, it could just be where everybody's chilling at a cabin and there's not a lot of activity, but sometimes it's like, no, we're going to go to a winery, or we're going to go take this hike, or we ate at this restaurant. It was really fun. Went to a antique shop, you know, whatever. So
I feel like there's definitely going to be lots of that.
Yeah.
Like, little downtown Murphy's is so cute with lots of little wine tasting rooms and like boutique-y kind of things. And so shopping and drinking and eating.
Yes.
My favorite things.
Yes. I have never been there, so I'm super excited to like share in that experience with my girls.
Yeah, the last time I did a girls trip there, the one I was referring to, it was dumping rain the whole time. And so we were like seeking shelter the whole time. And so I'm excited to kind of stroll and
a little sunshine.
Yeah, we've got some really good weather coming up and I'm so ready. And I know like it's probably really still deep in winter for some of you listening, and I'm sorry.
Move to California.
Yeah.
That'd be my message. This is a sign. No.
Yeah.
No, I know. We're very fortunate, and we don't take it for granted. I mean, I think we're the kind of people too that we try to get out and walk as much as we can when, you know, we have this little break in what's happening in the weather.
But I do think girls trips are so important and they're so healing. And I mean, even if you can just get a couple girls together and escape, because the truth is the monotony of the day-to-day, it wears on you, and you can just come back from a girls trip and feel so rejuvenated, appreciate your family so much more.
Yes.
Like, I think just, again, like taking that beat, it's another way a really fantastic way to give yourself that moment. And what better way to surround yourself with girls and have them hype you up? I mean, like, you need to be your hype girl, but girlfriends are the best at that. And it is so great to just be told, like, you're doing a good job.
Yes.
Back to the song.
And there's something special that happens when you take everybody out of their roles, you know, like their day-to-day roles, and put them in an environment where they can chill and breathe fresh air and just connect together, you know?
Silly little girls again, like you were talking about.
Totally.
That kind of remember that side of ourselves.
Yes, tapping into all that innate, you know, the way that we were designed to just
beautiful,
kind of
feminine.
collaborate, connect all those things. So yeah, my friend.
No, I'm excited. Can't wait to get some time with all of us.
Yes. For sure.
Fun. Letting loose.
You all have a great day, and look at your hands, appreciate all that they do, and just give yourself a little grace and gratitude.
Yeah. Give yourself a big warm hug and just appreciate where you've come from.